am Charles Finch. I am your host and presenters for this afternoon's webinar, Pathways from the Nile, Genesis of the Cultures of the Western Sudan. This is the third of our series of webinars, and we again thank you for joining us. The man who has done the most to, shall we say, illuminate this discussion of the pathways from the Nile as it pertains to the genesis, the cultures and civilizations of the Western Sudan and West Africa as a whole is a man named Boubacar Lam. He was a disciple and pupil of the late Cheikh Anta Diop, and he wrote a book called Les Chemins du Nile, the relations between Egypt and ancient Black Africa. And because of his seminal work in that regard, we have actually entitled this seminar Pathways from the Nile, which is a English translation of his title, Les Chemins du Nile. And to start off with, we can bring attention to the 6 migrations of Yoro Jau. And we look at this in 2 different sections. And we can say that through the work of Boubacar Lam, Western Sudanic oral traditions of the migrations from the Nile Valley compiled by Yoro Jau, who was born in 1847 and died in 1919 in the late 19th century, were finally brought to light. And he was able to determine, Yoro Jau, that from the 7th century BC to the 6th century AD, there were 6 migrations from the Nile Valley westward across the Sahara. Thus, oral traditions confirm the Nile Valley origins of the peoples and the cultures of the Western Sudan. The 7th century BC would have been about 650 to 660 BC, all the way to about 540 or 550 AD. So that was a period of 11, almost 1,200 years where these migrations took place. Each of the migrations described by Yoro Jau was precipitated either by an invasion of the Nile Valley from outside Africa or the oppressions of the invaders' regime against the indigenous customs, cultures, and peoples. The first migration might have been a result of the Assyrian invasion of Kemet and the defeat of the Kushite kings of the 25th dynasty around 660 to 656 BC. The Songhai are a people in what is now eastern Mali, and at one time were the creators of the largest empire ever seen in West Africa. The Songhai were said to be originally Kushite immigrants. They may represent a branch of the Kushites from Kemet that chose to move west after 660 BC, that is to say, after the Assyrian invasions. The traditions of Ouagadougou and the capital of the Empire of Ghana. The traditions of the Soninke. Now the Soninke were and still are, an ethnic group in West Africa, and they were the founders of the Empire of Ghana, 250 to 1070 AD. Now, Ghana was actually a name of their king, but later Arab writers and historians gave the name of their king, Ghana, to the entire country of Ghana. And then later on, and Kwame Nkrumah took the name Ghana for the country we know today as Ghana, although the Empire of Ghana was much farther to the east than the country of Ghana is today. Anyway, the Soninke, who were the founders of the Empire of Ghana, assert that their remote founding ancestor was born in the region of Sonah, or Aswan in Upper Egypt. He brought with him 2 zoomorphic, that is, animal-headed, deities or divinities, the serpent and the vulture. The ancient Egyptian symbols of royal dominion over Upper Egypt, over Upper and Lower Egypt. That is to say, the same symbols, the same zoomorphic symbols, the serpent and the vulture, are seen in the royal iconography of ancient Egypt. That is to say, symbols of royal dominion of both over Upper and Lower Egypt. The water-dwelling serpent, Beida, became the national deity of Ouagadougou, which is, as I say, the ancient name of the Empire of Ghana. Moreover, these traditions speak of a jackal that guided the early migrations, and therefore answers to the Egyptian opener of the way. the divine jackal, Wepwat, or Anubis. In fact, the name Wepwat, another name for Anubis or the divine jackal, means literally opener of the way.